She's so nice.
Yeah, and she's like super smart. She's the girl in our group that only does it, so I don't know how to do it. But, yeah. Okay. So, so are we basically just talking about the video and then the reading?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
So first we have to pick somebody to take the notes for the meeting because we have to post the YouTube and the notes. I don't know. I'm fine doing it if you guys want me to.
Is the same person supposed to do that, like with the notes and the link?
Yeah.
Okay, because I can take the notes if you want, since Ashley's gonna send me the link if you want me to do that. That's fine.
Yeah, if you're okay with that, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you want to do it.
okay, just a second. I'll be right back. Hey, no, you stay out of here. Okay. Sorry, my dog keeps trying to come in here. Okay, you guys
Story of
can
my life.
if you want. Um,
Okay, so it says, I'm just going to read kind of like what we need to do in the discussion, and then we can go from there. So the first question is take turns talking about the points you identified, both the overt references and the more subtle ones. So I guess from the video.
Oh. Um, hold on. I mean, do we just like notice any, like, do we just talk about any connections that we find between the video and the reading? Is that basically it? Or,
That's what I understand of it.
me too. That's what I'm
okay.
taking notes on and stuff.
Um, right. So the reading was kind of extensive, so I'm like trying to sift through it.
I know that's what I was like, oh, we read a lot this week.
I know. I mean, I think we're specifically applying it to the practice principles and guidelines, right? Like,
I,
or is it like
thought
the
it was,
whole?
I thought we were supposed to apply it to the Walsh's chapter 6.
Well, sorry, that's what I meant.
Okay.
That's like the chapter title. I should have clarified that. Um, yeah. Well, let's see. Something that I know that I noticed was just like I'm trying to find the specific term, but it's just like kind of attributing positive motivations for the clients. Because like I know in the video, or I just read the transcription, like the therapist, he would just, he try to, get at the real meaning behind each family member's, like reactions or actions. Like he would try to see like the very core of it and try to make it seem like a more positive light, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, what I thought was interesting, like, in the very beginning of the reading, it said that one of the key processes in family resilience is to guide family assessment and interventions. And I thought that was like one of the key things through the therapist, like the whole dialogue was just making it clear, like, um, clear what the problem was and what everyone's concerns was, because I think that's where we get lost in miscommunication, is when we don't have like clear understanding of what people think, you know what I mean, like what people expect and why they're doing the things that they're doing. So I think it's good that he kind of guided them through talking about it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
what was like super interesting too. And like what I really liked was that he, like when he was going to every person, he would like repeat himself of this, so and so felt like this, so that means that you felt like this. Like he was making note that he understood what that first person was talking about before he moved on.
Yeah,
I
like
was
he clarified it, I
Yeah,
guess.
like he really told them, yes, I understand what you're saying, not just, oh, I heard it, but I understand.
Well, and I think that is one thing you almost are just kind of the mediator, and it's like, okay, make me understand, and through me understanding, hopefully your family will understand as well. So I mean, you see, like when I was reading the transcript and when I was watching the video, I noticed a lot that he would say, "Oh, I understand now. I get it." Or, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." And he would like, you know, ask a question, have them answer it, and then he would say, "Oh, okay, I understand. So this is what you mean." And then he would repeat himself again,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just the over and over of, okay, let's make each other understand what this problem is, and then hopefully if we all are on the same page, then we can come to an agreement of how to fix it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I also liked how, so in the reading, so what's termed as crediting positive intentions. So even, when the mother was explaining that she would get angry and frustrated and they'd end up, going at each other, he kind of put it in more of a positive light, like, oh, you're just worried about your son, and this is how you conveyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like instead of attributing all of these things to like character flaws or
Right.
negative motivations, he would just put it in a positive light. I think that's what I was getting at before. Um, he he just like made sure that all the other family members understood the real motivation, which was
Right.
just caring for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what I thought was interesting is how, I mean, both of the children and the wife talked about how, oh, ever since we've moved to Rexburg from Nebraska, um, dad's not around a lot, and I think like seeing, maybe that is a trigger for why he's not here, or maybe that's why the daughter feels stressed, so like trying to gauge the reasons why people are doing the things that they're doing and making those connections can be really important.
Yeah. Right. I think something else that's really important is that because I know in the reading they talk about gaining like genuine empathy for every client. Like even if you think initially that they might be at fault, like say the abusive husband or something like that. And I remember like reading through the transcription, getting kind of annoyed with the son, thinking like, oh, he's just irresponsible or something. But the therapist really asks him like what's going on, and so like he's able to gain an actual empathetic understanding of what's going on with him rather than just labeling him as like,
The trouble child.
yeah, like he doesn't see him as just the trouble child or the rebel without a cause, so to speak. Like he really tries to get at what's bothering him. So I think that's really important.
Well, and I really liked at the beginning of this session how he made a point of trying to talk about like their personal interests, like, oh, you like NASCAR. Oh, okay. Well, I don't really know much about NASCAR, but I am interested in what you're interested in, So like trying to make those connections up front before really diving. There has to be like a sense of trust and a sense of, oh, this person cares about me before we're going to talk about like our major family issues.
I think he
Yeah.
did that to like make them feel comfortable, because he even said that a lot of people like don't feel like they can open up to a complete stranger and talk about their families, but then like he even asked them at the end, how do you think this went? And they're like, oh, I actually, it felt good. So I think that he did
Yeah.
that really to, have them open up, because I would do that. Like I wouldn't want to talk to a complete stranger if they didn't know
Oh, yeah.
about me. So
Well, it kind of helps humanize them, not just, makes them more than just like a patient or like a case study. It's like someone with whom therapists can really interact and get to know.
Mhm.
Well, and I thought in the reading it talked about like how it's important not to like, oh my gosh, this is a problem that is only happening to you. Like I think, I'm trying to find it in the reading, but it was like normalizing the stress. I think that was the word that they used. But like, this is not just a problem with just you. Like, oh, he's being a teenager and he, like trying to point out that, your family is not going through this for the first time in history. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find that. Oh, I don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
Doesn't help when you have to sift through 40 pages.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, oh.
I
Uh,
Oh,
can't
right here.
read like 5 at a
That's,
time.
yeah, it's called it says normalizing family distress.
oh yeah, I'm there right now too.
Yeah, heightens our appreciation of each family's unique set of experiences and beliefs, as well as its own commonalities with other families in similar life circumstances. I guess he didn't really talk about other families, but I felt like he wasn't like,
Well, he
oh,
kind of talked about his family a little bit, like
well, I
how,
guess that would count, huh?
yeah. I mean, not like, oh, this is normal compared to every other family, but like he kind of related to let them know that this wasn't just unique to them, that he knew what they were going through.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Um,
Do we want to go to the next question?
yeah, if you guys don't have anything else to add.
Anyone else have anything to add?
I think we kind of hit all or at least most of the.
There's just so much in the reading that it's like I don't know
Yeah.
how to go through it all. I mean, like they talked about like right here reframing and relabeling. So kind of like reframing the situation like, oh, this is not because your parents think you're a loser, it's because they're worried about you.
Yeah.
Like trying to reframe and like use words that are respectful and making the person feel like they're really interested and really really invested in how this turns out.
hmm Yeah, I think that reframing part's really crucial, like you pointed out, because like each family member had a different interpretation of what was going on, and they needed a more objective way to reframe it and look at it.
Yeah, it makes it more positive and less like the person who's like maybe the problem that coming in
hmm
doesn't feel like they're the subject of all the discussion, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like they don't,
And that
the
was
therapist didn't like focus on Jimmy and just, say like, okay, here's everything that's wrong with you. Like he
yeah.
focused on everyone.
Well, and I like that you brought that up because I feel like when they were first starting, he's like, "So what brings you in?" And they're all like, "Well, Jimmy does." Like everybody said Jimmy, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's gonna be an attack thing." And then all of a sudden, he like made it very neutral in the group. Like, "Okay, mom, what do you think?" Then Jimmy, and then the mom, and then Jimmy. Like she would go back and forth, and like it didn't just focus on, "Well, Jimmy, you're doing everything wrong." And so I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was worried that it would just be like attack Jimmy Day,
Yeah.
but he referred to Jimmy's opinion a lot, which I do like.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean it like they always I think it said somewhere in here like usually the person that is we've talked about it earlier in class too, like usually the person that you think is going to be the subject of everything when you come in, there's lots of problems behind that, and
Mhm.
they might be the one who is showing the most signs of stress and seeming like the problem, but usually it's because of things that are happening within the family, and you have to find those things as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
All right, should we go on, or does anyone have something to say?
I think that's it for me.
Okay, now I'm trying to find.
I mean, I feel like the discussion prompts that were given kind of blend together a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the last one seems like the most distinct when we're talking about like certain like the how does it go? Like treatment professionals and might prepare to capitalize on such opportunities. But I think the first three kind of apply to each other,
Mhm.
kind of. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
No, I
maybe
feel
my brain's not working.
no, I feel the same way. I feel like the first three questions all mesh together.
Yeah, like I feel like they kind of ask the same thing.
Yeah.
Like basically just do the first three. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean like it's mostly just I think each of them are just asking like what are your observations between the reading and the video and
Okay.
compare and contrast and all that. But
Okay. Well, if we already basically answered them, then I guess we can just do the one that we didn't.
yeah.
'Cause I have a lot of notes here, so it shows that we actually discussed. So.
Yeah. I guess that's the point.
Yeah.
Um yeah, we went over the points we identified. Then the next one, note the trends of your findings as a group. I think we already kind of discussed our findings as a group.
I have them written down too.
Yeah. Talk about your observations. Was anyone surprised by the findings, or it's a little
I
redundant?
I was surprised only by one, and it was when the son said that he felt like his family didn't care about him. Like, I
Hmm.
thought it was kind of weird that he said that because, like, I would feel like my family is caring about me, but maybe just a little too much because they're always, like, worried about me and stuff. I was just
Yeah.
kind of like, does he really think his family doesn't like him? Like, I don't know. That part
Well,
just kind of stood out to me, but I
Yeah, like
just because I
it's
never
just kind
felt.
of it just seems like basic logic. Like if they don't care about you, then they wouldn't care where you go at night,
Yeah.
Your mom
Yeah, but
wouldn't
but I
be.
like
I think
for like my
sometimes it
family,
is
my
that like
sister's like that. Like when
What?
she feels people are attacking her, she feels unloved. Like even if it's like a questioning, where are you? Like who are you with? She feels like it's attacking her in a way of like based out of hate instead of love. So she feels like she doesn't have our support behind her. I
So,
mean, not like typical thinking, but it's people do.
well, do you think it's more
well, and
like
I think
not so much? Oh, sorry, or whoever was
no, you're
talking.
good, go.
Like, do you think it's not so much like, oh, they're indifferent, or is it more like, oh, they just want to control me. They don't actually care about how I feel.
So I know with my
Well,
sister,
I
it's
just
like
think
a indifference. Like she feels mistreated
Yeah.
in that
Okay.
situation.
Okay, go
I
Mallory.
think it's a
Sorry, Valerie.
problem. I think it's a problem when people feel untrusted. Like if you love me, then you would trust me and you wouldn't ask so many questions. Like I think logically, of course, if you love someone and you care about them, then you want to know where they are and you always ask them questions about their day. But then at the same time, like if you like trust and love are really close together for a lot of us, and so if you don't feel trusted, then you you might not feel loved. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it does. Like I can see how people would confuse the two or like make that
Yeah.
association.
Well, and I mean, the mom said too, like, he never brings his friends around and yada yada yada, and it's like she might feel untrusted too, or like he's ashamed of her, and that might feel like, she's not loved as well.
I like that you said that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that was the only thing I was surprised about, but
Were you guys surprised about like the way that they talked about like the dad being gone, like that being a like sore subject for both of the kids?
I wasn't really surprised by that because I mean, like they mentioned it early on, like that he works more hours and everything. Um, I mean, I think I was surprised that it was like a relatively large part of the issue, or like larger than I thought it would be. But I did anticipate that being brought up in at least some way.
So I'm the opposite of you. Like it didn't surprise me, but I feel like it would have played a bigger part. I was assuming it
Yeah.
was going to play a bigger part in the behind the issues is
Yeah,
the dad being gone so
that's
often.
kind of what yeah, that's kind of what I was like. I wonder why they didn't talk about that more, you know?
Mhm.
Because it seemed like it was a problem for both of the kids,
Mhm.
especially when you're moving from a different state and there's so much going on. And then on top of that, your parent seems absent. I feel like that could have been an easy topic to talk about and possibly help both of the kids, but they didn't seem to really like talk about it much. And I don't know
Mhm.
if it's harder to like, I don't know. I think as a therapist, I think I would have a harder time like saying, okay, parents, you need to do this. I think it's easier to focus on like what the kid is doing and the outcome of what the parent is doing. So I just was interested that they didn't talk about it more.
now that
Well,
you bring it up, I was kind of interested that they didn't, just because it seemed like the mom was being a little bit more stressed out than the dad. And I think that if the dad was home more to help out, maybe it wouldn't be that stressful. And just the mom feeling like, oh, he's like, dead, or he's not answering the phone, all that stuff. Because I feel like that, like if my husband's gone, I feel like I am the one that's dealing with all the stress, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, and if your husband is absent, then you don't feel supported. I mean, I think the husband tried to do a good job of saying, like I'm backing her up and I get frustrated with what's his name, Jimmy? I get
Hmm.
frustrated with Jimmy because she's frustrated and I care about her, but at the same time, if you don't have someone there with you and you're having a hard time like separating the time that you used to have with your husband and now he's gone, I just feel like the schedule change is a really big deal, and I feel like they could have talked about that or like ways to have more quality time as a family, maybe when he is there. Because I mean, I understand like schedules change, and sometimes you have to do what you have to do to support your family, but then at the same time, when you are together, that needs to be more intentional.
Hmm.
I guess I wasn't surprised that they didn't talk about it more because to me it seemed like a lot of the focus was just on Jimmy and his current transition, like between childhood and adulthood, and just like what like the struggles he's going through. Now that you've talked about it, I can see how the dad not being home could really play into that. But just at the time, it seemed more like Jimmy's issues and like how he no longer quite fit in as much with his family and everything. That's just
Yeah.
me.
You have something to add, Erica?
Um,
It looked like you needed to talk.
I did, but you guys kind of hit everything. Yeah, I don't like the only thing that surprised me was that they didn't go more into the dad not being there as often. That was the only
Yeah.
thing.
Was that all the questions we have to ask then? Or
I
was
think
I think we have one more.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of confused by the last question a little bit.
Me too.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
what's the
It-
question?
I can read it out loud if you want. It's discuss and record how a treatment professional or a paraprofessional might prepare to capitalize on such opportunities to introduce or reinforce the types of resiliency factors from Welsh's article. So, if anyone wants to translate that, that'd be swell. Like,
I have no clue. It really confuses me.
yeah. Well, okay, so basically, maybe it's asking like how any like therapist or yeah, we'll just say therapist can prepare like in the future to look for opportunities to reinforce resiliency factors in their clients, I think.
Well, okay, so I pulled up the table from the reading,
Mm-hmm.
and it says key processes in family resilience. So there's belief systems, there's making meaning of adversity, positive outlook, and transcendence and spirituality. So I think like we could talk about how a professional could talk to their families about that. And then there's organizational patterns, the flexibility and connectedness. So we could talk about like how, where the family sits on the scale and how we could help them maybe move into a more comfortable position on the table.
Yeah.
And then there's communication processes, so clarity, open emotional expression, and collaborative problem solving. And I think that would probably be the things that you need to work on the most with families, is just making sure that their communication processes as a family work in a way that they can be resilient. But I don't know how, other than just coming out and talking about that, I don't know how you prepare for that. I don't know.
Maybe well, to me, the only way you can is being knowledgeable on the different key processes and how you can try to apply those into families' lives, or how you can bring it up in a conversation without offending a family. Especially if they're there for therapy, you don't want to tell them that they're communicating completely. You don't want to.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to say like you whack jobs, just don't know how to communicate. Yeah, like you need to be able to go about it the right way, I guess.
Yeah,
So
so
I
that's
mean,
all I think.
So, how in this circumstance could the therapist have brought up these, key principles better? Do you think he did a good job of, making sure their communication was clear and open and problem solving?
I feel like he could have tried a little harder, I guess, to focus on communication, because through what I understood through the video is that he didn't really focus too much on the communication differences.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense. He's like, this is just the issue, and you're understanding differently, but he didn't go on to communication.
Like how they should approach each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Like I didn't feel like maybe it's something that would be included like later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like it was more just like getting a basic understanding of each person's motivation or outlook on the situation, rather than giving them instructions on how to approach the matter with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I felt like he talked a lot.
Yeah.
I just I don't know how you can do that better, because I know that he repeated everything that everyone said, and I know that's good and everything, but I just felt like there could have been a lot more talking between the family, with him just there kind of like facilitating.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like he talked a lot.
I
felt like
I
he oh, sorry, go ahead, Erica.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna add to what she was saying. Like, he was talking a lot, but I kind of felt like sometimes he'd like interrupt them, and like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just really weird because I imagined therapy. I've never been, but I imagined it a little bit differently in my head, where like the family would talk face to face, just like he was just like there, and it was kind of like him talking to them and like interrupting at the same time. But I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
I felt like kind of said it's childish. Not childish, but like kind of treated them like children, but that's kind of how I got how he phrased things by repeating over to the family. Like that's something I do in my preschool.
Yeah.
Do that, so I just kind of felt it was a little.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably get frustrated if the therapist like would just jump in the middle of what I was saying, like, it could have they could have been getting at something a little different, but just like let them explain how they want to explain, and then but yeah, that's just me too. Like, I kind of got that impression.
Yeah.
Well, there was a couple times when Jimmy was talking, and like mid-sentence the therapist would come in.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait, he was in the middle of a thought. Like, let him finish.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I also saw like after the therapist would interrupt, like Jimmy's response was kind of not confused, but he didn't I felt like he necessarily didn't have the same feelings that the therapist interpreted, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I felt that too, because like sometimes I feel like he would just say, "Yeah, I agree," just to like get it over with, like just drop that subject and move on. So I agree with you on that. That was good.
Yeah, especially since like I imagine he wouldn't want to be there very much, so it would help him more to just let him explain his side like fully instead of just assuming things and interrupting him. That did kind of bother me. So.
Well, and like he didn't. I mean, he did a little bit, but he didn't go into like, okay, well, why? I don't know. Like, why are you doing the things that you're doing? Or is there a reason that you feel like this is the way that is there a reason that you feel like you can't tell your parents where you're going? Or, and I mean, I'm not a therapist, so I don't know if that's like really the questions that we should be asking. But like, I just felt like that would go somewhere a little bit more than just saying like, repeating back and back and back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what is ideal, especially during that first session. I mean, maybe he was just trying to get a thorough understanding of the situation first.
Mm-hmm. So, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all of that stuff might just be stuff to address in later sessions. But again, like, I'm obviously not a therapist, so I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, you're in the first session and you have to set that mood like right up front, because I think that Jimmy doesn't want to be there anyway, and if he doesn't feel understood and heard at that first session, he's the one that's going to argue that he doesn't want to go back. So I think there needs to be a special attention need that he feels understood and he feels understood. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there could have been a little bit more special attention to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would need to be priority, is just helping the one who doesn't really want to be there, who feels like they're being kind of dumped on by the rest of the family, like feel more at ease and feel heard.
Mhm.
Well, and like my sister, they went to like family therapy, just like her and my parents. And like the therapist took extra care, I mean, just from what I've heard, that, you know, to make her understand, like, I'm on your side, we're gonna figure this out, you know, we're gonna be supportive of you, and we're gonna try and make this better for the whole family. And I mean, that was a driving force because she was the one who was like, you know, I want to go back. You know, I think it helped. I think I want to go back, instead of just saying like, now mom, what do you think? Why do you do this? You know, I feel like he came back to that question like so many times. It's like, okay, we get that she's worried, you know, but like, what's behind that?
Yeah, and like for me, I mean, I know I'm not a mom, especially not of teenagers, but like I feel like her anxiety, like assuming the worst, like he's dead, I feel like that's a bit extreme, and that's something that might need to be addressed. Like maybe she had a really bad experience and like she's kind of overreacting, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm a mom, but I'm a mom of two little babies, and I don't think I'm gonna be thinking that the very first thought that he's dead. It's
Yeah.
probably, oh my gosh, he's ignoring me. What a little brat, or I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Oh my gosh, he's dead. Like that's. I agree with you. There's something else very deep within her that is going first to that thought. That's kind of scary.
Well,
Yeah,
and
like
even
I
the dad,
feel like
like,
that shouldn't be taken as like yeah, I don't think that should be seen as completely normal because I personally don't think it is.
No.
Yeah, even the dad mentioned that he felt it was a little
yeah.
a little extreme.
Yeah. Yeah, it just
He's
seems
like,
like she
she's
has
being a little dramatic.
mhm.
So maybe that's why the therapist was asking more her questions, so she felt like she was being understood, so she wouldn't
Yeah.
keep on going to those extremities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something I wanted to say, I don't know. I've never been to therapy, so I don't know if this actually really happens, but like in the movies or whatever I've seen or heard, doesn't a therapist always like have them do a goal that they have to accomplish before the next session? Like, okay, let's work on communication here, and then next session we'll come back and see how it went, you know? I was kind of surprised he didn't have like a goal to give them for the next session, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I didn't feel like there was any like concrete takeaways.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, like no specific plan to work on in the meantime.
Yeah.
Right. Like I felt like it was more, okay, let's talk about the problem. It's like we don't need to focus on the problem. Everybody knows the problem. Okay, let's work on how to fix it now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to go get my charger. My phone's about to die.
Okay. But yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. But I don't know if that really does happen in real life, but I think it does. I don't know.
When my
I mean,
sister went to therapy,
yeah.
he would give her homework each time she went to like either like write in a journal about something, you know, just like homework to work on, and then they talk about it at their next appointment.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of,
or else you just start at the same place each time.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem to make sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to discuss or
Was that the last question?
um
Yeah, I think so.
I honestly don't even know because I'm not sure what the last question's asking.
So I
So-
guess I have one more thing to add.
Mhm.
I was just thinking, like, shouldn't you have a little bit of a background before your first session?
Like about your client?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if they do that. Like at least
It's a
with
good
my
idea.
experience, they wait until like you come in and you tell them face to face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
So,
I know like they know like it's a family issue
okay.
type of thing. Like my sister, she had depression, so it was based on that, and the therapist knew that coming in, but
Oh.
she didn't know like the
Okay.
full reason or the full issue that was going on.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's basically when you go there like he did in the video, then you kind of talk a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
My
So the
understanding.
first session is really like just a debrief of the issue.
Hmm.
Well, I feel like it should be more than just a debrief. But I don't know. I've
Yeah.
never been to therapy myself. I'm just going off of
I
my
just feel like
sister going and stuff.
Yeah, I just feel like this felt like more of a like introduction and
Mm-hmm.
like, like Alexis said, I think there should be like some sort of goal at the end or some sort of like concrete takeaway like, okay, you guys are gonna, really work on your communication, sit down with each other at least once a day and tell each other you love each other or something, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
something to do.
He kind of did that, I think. Like,
Oh, he did?
hold on. Like, sort of. Hold on. Um,
I have the transcript up.
yeah, I'm pulling up the transcript as well.
Did you guys get to watch it or did you do the transcript? Because I know some of the people were saying the video wasn't working for them, but it worked for me.
It didn't work for me, so I
I
had to read
watched
the
the
thing.
video.
I
Okay,
can
so
watch
I
it.
watched it too. Okay.
So like, so he says, like, would you ask your wife out on a date this week, like, to talk about your kids and everything? Like, so he asked them to like go out on a date and talk about the issue, just them.
Okay.
And then he suggests like to the kids, like the brother and sister, to like just go and hang out and talk. But he didn't really give specific parameters for like what to talk about. At least not that I remember or can see now. Like, he didn't give them like a certain way of approaching it. He just said, I don't know, talk. And yeah, it
Maybe what
seemed
I
like
was
it.
thinking, maybe what I was thinking is just like, okay, so Jimmy, if you're gonna go out, you're gonna try and communicate with your mother and father where you're gonna be like kind of like I thought he was gonna be like specific of what to work on, like for each
Mhm.
person, and not just okay, you two go on a date, you two just go hang out more. Like it's kind of like that's very broad. I thought it was gonna
Yeah.
be very detailed, but
Yeah,
I
and
think
I agree. That is very non-specific, and it doesn't seem to be
yeah,
attacking any certain issue or way to
yeah,
improve things.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But,
But now that you bring up the date, I mean, that is sort of a takeaway, like really try and sit down with each other and talk about it, like that. I mean, it is kind of just
Well, I
as
wish it
Yeah,
would have been like a family
what I
goal
was
instead of
thinking, but
just like mom and dad go do your thing and then kids.
mhm.
I feel like it should have been a whole family because it's
yeah,
a family issue.
hmm
That is true.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, just like
Well, and
all sit
even
down
like
together.
how, like we've talked about like family councils in this class, and it's like you really have to get the kids involved for them to feel like invested in the issue, and it's like, oh, well, dad's gone again, and now mom's with him, so it just seems like it would not really fix the problem.
Yeah, and like it might turn into a situation where like the parents are kind of like they've formed their own opinion together and they kind of butt heads with the kids and like I don't know,
Yeah,
I
I
feel
mean,
like it
I
should
think
be
it's
more.
important to have an alliance between the spouses.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like
But
it
like
also doesn't help Jimmy feel loved because right now he's not
yeah.
feeling loved. And so I feel like it's just going to make him feel more unloved, unsupported,
hmm
you
Yeah.
know, or unheard by the therapist. Like, okay, I told the therapist I don't feel loved, and yet he isn't giving us anything to work on for
Mhm.
that. Just parents go out, kind of leave us by ourselves type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he should have, like, I still like the date thing because I do remember that they were saying, like, the dad is not on the same page as the mom. Like, he thinks she's being a little extreme. So that works for them, but I think he should have done, like, what you said, Erica, is do a family goal to have everybody involved. But,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's not a bad idea to have, again, like have the date because that's important, or even have the kids talk with each other, but then also have a family meeting
mhm,
to talk about it together.
like a family home evening or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, are we supposed to like read the notes and like everything like that too before we post it and stuff, or
So it says in the last 15 minutes of the meeting, the person who is in charge of composing the summary should share it with the group to make sure that all teammates agree with the work. But if it's not done, you could probably just email it to us and we could say yay or nay or make changes or whatever.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can share with you what I have like in bullet points if you want, and then if you guys want, I can just write some more down, and then the summary. Does it have to be done before Saturday?
Yeah.
I think so.
So I can write it all into an actual summary and then send it to you tomorrow and then just have me just reply to me and then I'll just send in whatever everybody thinks. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Sounds
that
good.
sounds
Works.
good.
Okay, so just what I have from the notes here. So we first talked about positive motivation towards clients, making everything clear when having conversations, and that's between the like a family having each conversation being clear and with the therapist involved. And then we said he also said he understands them instead of not just like listening. He would repeat things to make sure everyone understands and is on the same page. He turns negative feelings and thoughts into positive things. Um, Gagging the reasons why people are feeling the way they're feeling, gaining empathy for every client, no matter if he agrees with them or not, finding personal interest with clients up front, getting to know them as a person, not the client, and normalizing stress, framing and relabeling, and he makes that feel respectful, and he watched his words to make them feel like their problems are important. Person that is main subject is not the main problem. It is the background stress in the family that causes stress. The son felt unloved, feeling trusted. Feeling trusted, we feel loved. And then if we are not trusted, then we feel unloved. And then we were surprised that the dad's leaving and going to work a lot did not get brought up to become a bigger problem in the role of the stressful situation. And the wife needs to be more supportive or the wife needs more support from her husband. So if he's gone all the time, maybe he needs to be home to support her more. The quality time they spend together was not discussed. We were surprised by that, like the whole family. And then we talked about being knowledgeable about the key processes, being respectful about the way families discuss their problems, tried harder on communication, focus on their different ways they can communicate. He talked a lot about more than we thought he should have, meaning that he should have had the clients talk a little bit more than him, and then felt
Yeah.
like they were treating as a child because they repeated himself. Jimmy didn't really agree sometimes for what the therapist was saying. He felt like he just wanted to say yes to get it over with. And then we thought the first session might be different than the second. It helps members want to come back for the second time for the second session. And then not concrete takeaways, or sorry, there was no concrete takeaways. Things to work on before the next session should have been addressed. And then we thought that the first session might be more of a debrief. But that's basically all that I wrote. Was there anything else we wanted to add for the summary?
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you did a good job.
Thanks. Okay, so I guess I'll just write it up, and then I'll email it to you guys on Friday, and then I will just hear back from you. So.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So I'll have my friend send me the email or the link thing for our video thing that we were just doing, and then I guess I'll just turn that in with my summary, so you guys don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Okay, and
Thanks.
then it said like just make sure that just the one person posts it, and then you'll just put all of our names on it.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
just so I have everybody's like information, like I spell everything right and everything. Can you guys, like, before you log off, can you write your email just in case I need to get a hold of you again if it disappears in, like, that message thing, and then write your first and last name, just so I can spell it all right if I lose it?
Where do you want us to do that?
Where we were messaging on our Google account. You remember that little toolbar that pops up?
Oh yeah, I still have it
Oh,
up.
in the older one.
Yeah, just go ahead and do it right there, and before I log off, I'll just write it down just in case. So, yeah, 'cause I will add all of our names on there because we did awesome. Even though it took us like 45 minutes to get on and get it all figured out. This thing is hard.
We did awesome. I love that.
Yeah. We're awesome. So. Okay, so I got Melissa's that popped up. And I got Mallory's.
Just like. Yeah, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so awesome. If there's not anything else, then I guess we can log off, but
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
Thanks,
it.
ladies.
see you later.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Okay. Ashley, can you hear me? Hey. Okay, thanks so much for that. You're awesome. Hey. Okay, so now what do I do after it's all like recorded and stuff?